Hey there, McAllister with Toasty DIY, and today I'm doing a quick video over Incarnate. I've been using wonderdraft as my map making software of choice for D&D maps for a long time, but they've not released an update in a long time, and so I'm looking back at Incarnate, so I just wanted to give you all some quick tips and tricks that I learned. From watching a big live stream from one of the developers of Incarnate about how to make a basic village map if you're looking to make one really quick and easy on Incarnate. So the basic rule that I learned that I thought was really important was this pathing tool. Take the pathing tool and just draw out some basic ideas here. You'll see me drawing out two like neighborhood districts and then one for the forest, just so I kind of know where it's going to run. And then the next thing I do is I lay down the roads, because that makes it really easy for me to find out where my buildings are going to sit. And then I'll end up redrawing these roads later, but I just get some rough ones down how I think the city would flow if I was trying to get places and if I was trying to get places in a coordinated way. This is about how I think the city would be laid out. So then what I do for laying down houses to make it really easy, you can grab these clusters of buildings. You'll see there are sets of just like, oh, grab one building. And unless you're trying to be really particular about how you want yours laid out, I recommend just using these clusters, and they become kind of like a puzzle. You just set them down, you can rotate them however you need, and they'll change between every set down. And this makes it really easy to just get a lot down at one time. For most of the maps I've been making, I've been just using the roof tiles as a way to like make the area distinct, or how they're placed, whether I place them in single file or in little clusters like this. Once you've gotten a good amount down, leave some blank spaces for special buildings. These will be somewhere that your eyes get drawn to when your players look at the map. Things like the fighters guilds, the inns, these are just specialty buildings that aren't like the other ones you've been pasting down. They help bring out the variety to the map. So I'm gonna keep doing this area here, and then I'll come back once I've gotten the basic commercial district done. Alright, so I'm finishing up here in the basic merchant district. So the next thing I'm going to do is walls. So you'll see that there's a pretty obvious outline or greater outline of my city because I've laid down the foundations of where everything's going to go. So at this point, I'm laying down walls. What I recommend is grab the biggest section of wall you can and just start placing them. You don't have to be too retentive about this. When you zoom out, it's very forgiving. And then if you have a really big mistake or a spot that you really don't like the look of, you can always place a guard tower over it, and that'll hide any major mistakes. So this just takes some time. I lower the mouse sensitivity on my mouse just to make this easier. Just go through, place them, and then place guard towers at certain spots. Any spot you want to have like an entrance to the city, I recommend placing 2 guard towers. And then you can draw a path through it later, and it'll make it really easy to draw that. But you don't actually have to include a path or like bust it out. You can just draw a path underneath of it. Now to get some variety in the city, you can kind of get different district ideas. So you could make this your nobles districts, your maize districts, your slums, however you want to look at it. I would consider this more slums because it's going to end up being really crowded. And I think the more crowded it is, the more you can get like hidden buildings and stuff stuck in there for your players to investigate in. So I use these blue clusters, and it turns out they have like their cluster versions are like rows of them or little blocks of them. Yeah, so I'm going to come back in once I'm done finishing out these blue buildings. I leave gaps, like I said, for specialty buildings. These are the ones that'll just look more unique and draw the eyes of players. That it's really a rest for your eyes when you're looking at them. So just give this a moment. All right, so for the forest, I really like this stamp tool. I just grab it and I place them down. This is what I usually see when I see any D&D map, and it's the trees I really like the look of. So I just grab a bunch of them and I start placing them around. I knew generally where the forest was going to be because of the outlines. I'm going to go ahead and erase those outlines now though. And this last little area, I kind of wanted to be like a park. I tried drawing a lake in it and I didn't like it, so I ended up using this like crystal dome I found. That's kind of like a gazebo in the middle of it. And this is where you're going to go through, and I right now drew out a park. What I'm going to do is end up just replacing all the background with it and then redrawing my roads. That way they'll bend more naturally to the city because I've now have the city drawn. So I go through and I do the basic green, and then I do a darker green around the forest areas to make it better, and then I do a sand around coastlines. That way it looks more natural, and it gives some more variety to the map. So once you've redrawn your roads, you can go through and start to add like special details to the map, like I'll do here in a second. So now I wanted something that'll make this map a little bit more unique, and so I added a few abandoned buildings over here, and I thought, you know, let's just go ahead and do some with this water. So I made it look like there's an underground crater. I found that using the snowy hills little stamp worked out pretty well for giving me a cool water effect for like something underneath of it. And then I'm going through and just adding little details, because in the end of the day, a lot of maps will look similar because using the same stamps. You just got to accept that if you want to use this tool, that's going to be part of the deal. And so what you have to do is just find, maybe a focal point that makes it unique. And I thought that this island was what could make my city questionable, because why don't they have a dock? Why is there an island that's like this? Just different things like that. So once you go through and you get that set up, your fun little thing on the outside, you can kind of go through and mess around with different stamps. Just find a stamp that you like and then make it your focal point. Once you have that set up, then you have something that makes your town unique every time, no matter what. I'm trying to find a way for the waves that I like. I found a 50% opacity on the little waves was enough for me. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in a little banner here. I just named this place Windleton. Didn't have a better name for it, but just a basic little town. This is how I do it to make it sure it's done really quick. You can go through and do it any other way, but I think that pre-planning your map makes a big difference to how it turns out and how quickly you can get it done. This only took about 40 minutes, and I think it's a serviceable map, a one-shot, a two-shot, or even a whole campaign if I had players who are willing to just stick around this town. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you all, and thank you for watching. Bye.